Get going. Perfect. Oh my God, it's like a rub the genie, snap the fingers and the record starts. So anyway, all right, welcome everybody. So if you're listening to us live or if you are listening to a recording, if you're watching on YouTube, we would love if you hit the subscribe or share button. That's an incredible way to help spread this message, whether or not you are in business with us. Um, there's so much value here and so many ideologies and so many philosophies and so many practical things that you can do today to grow your business, whatever business that you're in. If you're watching for the first time, welcome. If you're watching every time, we're happy to have you. So anyway, tonight I'll be your host. My name is Peyton Parna. You guys know me if you've been watching for any amount of time whatsoever. I'm driving right now between Idaho and Utah, my home. And we decided to just take a couple of minutes tonight like we do every single week. And one of the things that Kevin and I always do before we do this call is we say, hey, what's the one thing, which interestingly is also the book that is going to be part of the book club, the book of the month. That's something that our organization does. And so the one thing by Gary Keller is the book that's the book of the month this month. And that's such an interesting philosophy and book, right? And so, but what we always do is we always say, okay, what's the one thing that if we could create a takeaway, or if we could create a theme, or we could create an intention for the week, for the call, what would that one thing be? And really excited because if you've been following the last couple of weeks, a couple of weeks back, 2-3 weeks ago, I think I was calling from Montana, and we were talking about the idea of, even if you are facing challenges, even if you are in a place in your life, in your business, in the build of whatever it is that you're creating, and maybe the path to the top does not seem clear, uh, creating an opportunity to look for the areas that you can have a positive mindset. And that is extremely difficult to do sometimes. There's a great saying, it says, it's easy when it's easy. It's easy to be positive when you're feeling positive, but it's when you're feeling negative that it counts the most. So that was 2 weeks ago. 1 week ago, we talked a lot about, creating a long-term vision for yourself, right? Like, how durable is your dream? And if you haven't had a chance to listen to last week's call, definitely go. It's on the YouTube channel, EMFQ, on YouTube, and you can go and see all these recorded calls. But last week's call was really powerful. Really taking the time to establish, like, what are we doing? And are we, like, married to linear income, like 99.9% of the world? Or are we really, invested in this idea of creating a leverage stream of passive income? And so this week, what we wanted to do is now bring it full circle, because if you have a long-term vision, if you have a positive mindset, if you have a vehicle, a business of any type that can grow exponentially, that can traject you, like higher than whatever you can earn linear. And when I say linear, I say, working for a set commission or working for a set wage. But if you have a business vehicle that can go exponential, meaning that 1 + 1 = 5, or 1 + 1 = 9, rather than 1 + 1 = 2, then what's the last piece you have? You got a positive mindset, you have a long-term vision, and now you need a process. And I think that one of the things that we all struggle with from time to time, especially in the beginning stages of getting organization going, is that you can be doing the business 100% correctly. You can be doing the business 90% correctly. And the way that it tends to grow in the beginning, it can feel like you're doing it 100% wrong. And so it's really difficult to measure the progress of your business based off of the result in the beginning. The result will come down the road, and that can be 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months on the road. But what are you measuring on a daily and weekly basis in the beginning? And what it really comes down to is a process. And now what's important about a process is that I look at it really similarly to weight loss, right? Or to health and fitness. It's that you can be doing many of the right things, but if you're not doing them, stacked together properly, you're not going to necessarily get the result. And so often we think that it's just a function of we need to do more, or we need to do it harder. And the truth is, especially if we're relating this to fitness and weight loss, is that it really isn't necessarily just about doing it harder. Sure, you have to put effort into the process, but it's about doing the correct things enough to start to get the result, to start to get the momentum and stuff like that. And so when we talk about having a process, Sometimes we think, okay, we need this elaborate marketing process. We think that we need this elaborate sales presentation. We think that we need this elaborate system from the company. We think that we need these elaborate functions or these elaborate websites or these elaborate back offices, all these different things that we think that we need. And while all of those things can help, if you have a simple process that you can repeat to yourself time and time again, and when somebody new starts with you and partners with you and says, hey, I like what you're doing, you can have a simple process. And it might not be everything that everybody needs to know. But if you always go back to a simple process, you can always get a result. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And so without further ado, the process we're going to talk about tonight, because I think the last thing I'll say before I hand it over here to Kevin is that it's really common for us to think that we need an elaborate social media marketing presence, or we need an elaborate email drip campaign, or we need an elaborate funnel. All these things that are out there, and sure, people that are building big companies have those. Sure, big professional marketers have those. But don't let not having those things stand in your way of something that you can do today. And I remember when I first partnered with Kevin, this is, we'll get going here in just a sec, but when I first partnered with him back in 2009, 2010, he was making at the time, I mean, mind you, we were young, right? But he showed me a check from we got paid on a weekly basis in that business. And he made like $730 in a week. And I thought to myself, wow, if I could do that, that's going to pay me like 2 times as much as my full-time job. And I could now go from working full-time at my job to part-time in my business, make twice as much in my business as I was making in my job. And that was just the beginning. And I thought that, and here's what's so important about that is that Kevin had a process, and it was a simple way that anybody could do to strike up a conversation, share what we were doing with that person, and help them get started. Because before we go any further, let's remember, this business is probably the simplest. Well, when I was younger, thanks, Brett. When I was younger, it seems like it's like dog years in this business, right? It seems like we've been doing this forever. But we got a decade and a half under our belt. So hey, let's keep it in check. But the last thing I'll say is that it was his ability to do this over and over and over again that took the mystery out of it. I said, wow, that's really all that he's doing. And the truth was, yes, right? And it worked then. It worked at gas stations in the middle of the wilderness in Utah. It worked at gas stations in Los Angeles. It worked at the beach. It worked at Subway. I mean, it worked, right? And so this is something that anybody today can implement. It might not be your favorite way to do the business, but if you start to do this, it will create momentum. And I know that Kevin knows exactly what I'm talking about. So without further ado, I hand it over to you, Kevin. You can talk about a real simple process to start introducing the product to people, introducing the business people, and start making sales and growing a team today. So take it away, man.
Oh man, that was super good. Thanks, Peyton. I got to tell you, Peyton, this week, talking with him, he got me so fired up about the topic we're talking about next week. I just want to put a suit on for that, for that call. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your Sunday night to be here. Tony Robbins says that the quality of your relationships, the quality of the questions that you ask other people. I always heard the quote that said, the person that asks the questions controls the conversation. And one of my favorite questions like 15 years ago was, hey, do you want to try an energy drink? It's free. And then I just give you a sample and see what you think. Today, I think I could do do you want to participate in a quick study? Heart disease has been running rampant everywhere, and I've got some test strips, and I've got a green juice I'm sampling out. Would you be interested? Give me maybe 5 minutes, take a look. And somebody right there could be about that. And you could give them a stick. It's winter time, so we could have bottled water that maybe, where Brent lives in Canada, it might be frozen in his trunk, but in a lot of places, it would be nice and cold. And you give them water, you say, here, drink some, and you give them a stick. And you say, this is like a bunch of greens, and you're telling them a little bit while they're shaking it. They try it. You do the test strip before, you do the test strip after. Super fun process. Or you could do the thing where you'd say, hey, do you drink greens? And the idea is, I just buy some water. and I have a bunch of sticks in every car of mine. And then wherever I am, I do that everywhere I go. And then it's such a simple segue to say, hey, you know what? I'm an influencer for this company. I could give you a 25% off coupon code on your first order. Let me get your number. I'll shoot it over. And then you have their number. You do it super fast. They're all excited. We do that. Like I can immediately think of like the girl at Cafe Rio the last time I was there. She comes up. She's all, hey, you talked to me about the green juice before. She's like, I couldn't get the link to work. And it was .con, not .com or something. So it's kind of, and I since figured out you could right click on a computer on a website and it says create QR code. And then you just have a picture and you can send that to your phone and then somebody could just QR code. And I thought I should put this on a business card and then just put them on a bunch of cars. But it comes down to this. I was doing homeschool a week ago and the lesson was profits are better than wages. Profits are better than wages. That was the lesson, was profits are better than wages. And I made them understand wages. And they understood that when I sell a home and I make a commission for selling a home, that's a wage. And they called me on it and they're like wages. And then we talked about profits. And all the last week and a half, whatever, talking with my oldest daughter and my oldest, she's 8, and my 18-year-old, talking with my 8-year-old especially, she thinks now in terms of things for profits. And she's talking, she says, I just want to knock some doors. Can we get like a business card with a QR code on it and maybe a coupon code that I could give to somebody when I'm at the door so they could buy it from me? And then she's thinking about what it'll be like when she gets the $25 the next month. And she's like wanting to build on it. And her mind at 8 sees it that way. And I'm thinking profits are better than wages. Peyton said something that stuck out of my mind all week, that you have bills that are residual, you should have residual income for those residual bills. And so to me, the simple process is I buy a bag to drink, we buy a couple bags to drink, we buy a couple bags to share, we write it off, we share some bags. And this week I mailed out a bunch of sticks, and there's people I'm scared to reach out to, and I thought it would be easier to reach out to them by asking them for their address to send them some samples. And then they're all, what is it? And I send them to my website and they get to see it and they're like, yeah, definitely excited to try it. And I'm like, it's easier to give them something. And I'm like, that's what Brenda did. She sent everybody a bunch of sticks when she got her launch, and a bunch of people wanted to get going with it. And so I thought I'd try that this week. But to me, it's all a measurement of exposures. I try to expose it to new people, have a conversation about the business of someone. It's all exposures. This week, how many exposures can we generate out there? How many sticks can we send in the mail? How many sticks can we share with total strangers everywhere we go? Just always be looking, because in my mindset, at a worst case scenario is like somebody yells at me and I'm like, man, they didn't want any minerals in their body. Their body could have been really happy tonight while it was sleeping and getting what it needed because I stopped and talked to them. And it's like, you just ask them questions and you see if they want to. And if they do, it's awesome. It's funny, Peyton and I are both wearing our shirt today, like you wear your Against All Odds shirt, and you go out there and you're like, yeah, this company's cool. We do 3 things. 1, we drink greens and we share greens with people. 2, we be better. And 3, we see if anybody wants to come with. Like, that's really what we're doing. And it's really exciting. And if you have any interest in that, I can send you a link. We're just sharing a process. Some people will be doing another version of this, another version of that. Some people want to post online. Some people want to do Facebook groups. Some people want to do door-to-door sales with green juice subscriptions. Some people want to do trade shows, sit at booths and sell green juice. Some people want to buy it, take a stick, turn around and flip sticks to get more people in. Everybody wants to do it a different way. Pick a process and go to work, and then consistently work that process. Brett makes beautiful presentations. There's like an army of different tools out there that could be used. But at the end of the day, you're getting someone interested simply, and simple is fast, like Peyton says. And the thing, if a team of 10 is sharing a stick a day, that's 3,650 exposures a year. You can run $1 million business. If you're making $1 to $4 a bag, doesn't it make sense to have consumption be part of it? If I'm consuming 1 to 2 bags and I'm sharing 2 to 3 bags on a monthly basis, I'm buying 5 or 6 bags and I don't care because I'm making more than I'm spending and it's a write-off. So if you have a whole bunch of me's in it, that's a lot of volume being generated in your organization over time, especially if that's the duplication and that's the model. And you're like, wouldn't you want to build it where you have a team of people that are buying extra product to share extra product with extra people to get more people into the business? That makes sense. Whenever someone tells me, oh, I have so much product, I'm like, are you not sending it in the mail? Did you know you could send 3 or 4 sticks with a stamp? And they're like, no. And I'm like, you need to send some product out. I mean, you shouldn't have a ton. And so anyways, as we go into this week, think, how many exposures could I have this week? What could I do right now in my business? Who could I text? Who could I call? Who do I need to reach back out to? Who could I send a voice memo to? And then that other list is like, man, if I've got extra products sitting around, what are 10 people I could send 3 sticks to? There's a whole bag right there. And it's like, okay, I sent 10 sticks out. Let's see what they think. And we'll follow up with them in a week. And that's a really great tomorrow. So, kind of get in where you fit in type thing. But I appreciate you guys being on the call tonight. And I thank you guys for watching and tuning in. If you're watching this on the replay, and you can like and subscribe if you're on the YouTube. Process that's simple is the goal here. It's not rocket science. You want to get 3 and help them get 3. It's like if somebody wants to get in the business and get started, it's like, okay, it's like you spend $400 and the goal is like make more than that. So in your first couple days, let's get your first 3 people to come in for 400, and then you've made 450, and then let's have them get theirs because you just did that, and we just keep duplicating that. And if we can create the 3 who get 3 structure, we're making 100 a month. That covers our monthly, and we can get a couple bags of greens, and there's the beginning building block. And we just keep teaching the newest person to do that building block like over and over and over again, and just try to hand out like 3 sticks a day if you're out in the world or at work or something, and like constantly be sharing the product. And eventually few get a few, get a few, get a few, get a few, and it takes off. And then people continue to buy, people quit, people come, people go, more people come, and it grows. And then people are always buying product, and it continues to pay you. And it becomes this machine that pays you for a long, long, long time. So, I mean, that's simple. It's something we just add on to what we're already doing in our lives, and it could overtake everything else and give us our time and our money and our health. It's perfect. So I hope you guys have a good week this week. I hope you process this, and next week's going to be really cool. And exposures, I hope that there's a bunch of exposures in your world. Put those sticks to work, get like a list and just like do a little something. I can promise that this week I will do all of those things. This is going to be an exciting week for me with regards to that. So I hope you guys have a good rest of your week. We're going to stop recording, and